Right, so hello everyone and welcome to the Leadership Twin Cities information session. Congratulations on being here and taking the first step in the initiation process to joining the cohort. Really excited to share more about Leadership Twin Cities with you here today. For today's agenda, we'll go over some introductions. I'll give you an overview of the program, talk about the application timeline for the next upcoming cohort, and then we'll hear some testimonials from our alumni and answer any questions that you may have. I don't anticipate this taking the full hour, so hopefully once I get through my program overview and answer all your questions, we'll have a good chunk of time to get back to you during this lunch hour. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. In terms of introductions, who am I? My name is Zach Kramer. Hello. I'm the Leadership Programs Manager with the Minneapolis Regional Chamber. I oversee our Emerging Leaders program as well as Leadership Twin Cities. I'm also a program alumni. I graduated from Leadership Twin Cities back in 2022 and have been loving the experience ever since, getting to repeat it every year. In terms of what is Leadership Twin Cities and why you're all here, I get this question a lot. It's a really complicated question to answer, so I'm going to break it down for you with a couple slides here. But in terms of what Leadership Twin Cities is, ultimately, it's a 9-month community leadership program that empowers individuals with the skills, the knowledge, and the connections needed to be effective leaders and agents of positive change for their community. Now, I'm sure you're all thinking, that sounds great, but what does that really mean? I think I'll start with explaining what is it not, because I'm sure when you hear Leadership Twin Cities, you might kind of think of what to expect with this, and I'm sure it's different from what you're probably thinking it is. So it is not a training. It's not people management training. It's not a course. There's no tests. There's no certification. We're not claiming to have all the answers and giving you directly teaching you tips and tricks of how to be successful. It's not executive coaching. It's not life hacking. And it's definitely not whatever this is. It's not a Tony Robbins course. But I will say participants do indirectly gain many leadership, collaboration, and problem-solving skills as a result of this program. But we don't claim to have all the answers. What the program really is, it's truly a unique experience, unlike anything most of you have probably ever been exposed to. But it is a series of collaborative conversations about issues going on in our community that we're facing right now and how we can work together to better address them. Some of the areas that we focus on during these conversations are awareness of critical issues impacting the greater Minneapolis-St. Paul region. So what are the facts of what is going on in our backyard? What's the data and the severity of how big of a problem this is compared to other metros across the country? And what are the trends of how this has been changing over time, especially since the pandemic or pre-pandemic numbers? We also focus on understanding complex social systems that are surrounding these critical issues. So what is the history as to why these issues are a problem in the first place? And also, who are the different nonprofit and government organizations working to address those issues? And what are the challenges that they continue to experience that is getting in the way of them addressing those challenges? And lastly, we also focus on actions and what are the opportunities for you as individuals, as well as representatives of organizations to take action and get more civically engaged and ultimately address these issues. So that's kind of the focus of what we talk about. In terms of what does that look like for the logistics of throughout this 9-month program, well, you'll experience many different things. You'll engage with local experts, which include different business executives, nonprofit leaders, elected officials, and other subject matter experts in our community that will give different presentations. We'll have panel discussions, different workshops, or keynote speeches to help educate you around these critical issues. You'll also have the opportunity to network with other participants and learn about their many different unique perspectives about the different topics that we'll be discussing during our small group discussions that we'll be having throughout the day. We'll also have some hands-on activities that will help you stay engaged throughout the day and provide a better understanding of some of the subject matter that we'll be talking about. We'll also experience some fun, unique behind-the-scenes tours where you'll get to explore different facilities that we have throughout our community. Also, with the support of your peers, you'll develop your own personal passion project to improve the way that you engage with your community. And your peers are there to answer any questions that you may have or help coach you through anything that you're struggling with as you're working through your own personal journey of what you want to do with your passion project over the 9 months that you're participating in the program. Also, a fan favorite, after every program day, we'll have a social after the program, and oftentimes a good chunk of people stick around for that. These are optional, but definitely a great opportunity to continue the conversation in a more casual setting and further connect with your fellow participants. Some other things outside of the scope of the program days, everyone before each program day will be given a pre-work document, which includes some readings and activities and reflection questions for participants to do ahead of time in order to be better prepared for the conversations that we'll have during the program day. People will also be assigned monthly connections as an opportunity to connect with people in between each of the program days to just further the networking process and better get to know other people in the program over a coffee or a phone call or whatever works for those folks. In terms of what are the critical issues and some of the themes that we'll be talking about in the program, it's a 12-day program over 9 months. And here are some of the themes of the things that we'll be talking about. We'll start off with a kickoff retreat. We'll have a racial consciousness workshop. We'll also talk about different cultures and communities that exist in the Twin Cities and have a significant presence. We'll talk about the arts and the art community here in the Twin Cities, sustainability, economic development, as well as education, talent and workforce, government, safety and justice, health, and at the end of the program, we'll have our final vision and graduation day. So these are just the themes of certain days that we'll be talking about. In terms of the specific topics that we'll be talking about, there's so many. I'm not going to read them all off for you, but I'll pause here for a second to just give you an opportunity to review some examples of some of the things that we talk about over the program. And here are some more examples of some of the things that we discuss. We also, in our program, have between 60 to 70 speakers that we invite as our local experts to educate us on these different critical issues. Obviously, I'm not able to share all 60 and 70 at this time, but here are some of our fan favorites of people that have spoken in this program in the past. I won't read them all, but I'll highlight a few. We have We've had R.T. Ryback, former mayor of Minneapolis. We've had Governor Tim Walz, Secretary of State Steve Simon, Deshaun Drew, President of Minnesota Public Radio, Sandra Samuel, CEO of Northside Achievement Zone, and many other awesome nonprofit leaders and government leaders as well. I also often get asked what a typical day looks like for Leadership Twin Cities. So it is a full business day running from 8 o'clock to 4:30. In the morning, starting around 8 o'clock, we'll welcome everyone with a light continental breakfast and give everyone the opportunity to casually network with each other up until about 8:45 and that's when the program will officially get started. We'll do some activity and some group discussion, followed by a speaker, then a break. Then we'll do another activity and small group discussion, followed by another speaker, and then lunch. And that pattern will really carry on through into the afternoon. After lunch, we'll do another activity discussion, followed by a speaker and a break. And again, activity discussion, speaker. And then we'll end the day with some reflections, and then we'll relocate to the post-program social at a local nearby establishment. So overall, we have 2 speaking sessions in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, totaling to about 4 major topics of conversation that we'll cover throughout the day. I often get asked who can participate in the program. So anyone can participate, but it is an exclusive cohort experience that you must apply for. Applications are open now until mid-June. And the people that are accepted will have 60 individuals that all have a passion for improving their community. It's a mix of different ages, ranging roughly from the age of 25 to 65. So it's not just C-suite level leaders. So we have aspiring and experienced leaders in the cohort. We have people from many different industries represented, as well as people from the business, nonprofit, and government sectors. We're always looking for people with unique perspectives and life experiences to contribute to these collaborative conversations of how do we address these very complicated social issues in our community. Some of the clear benefits of participating in the program is that you get a diverse network of leaders across different industries and professions with a shared passion for improving their community. You'll get a better understanding and perspective of your community and the issues that will shape the region during your time in the workforce. You'll get some enhanced leadership, collaboration, and problem-solving skills. And you'll get some knowledge of civic engagement opportunities to address those issues and access to all future alumni programming that we'll be doing. So if you're interested and excited in joining next year's cohort, it'll be starting in September 2024 and will be ending in May of 2025. Here are some logistical information for you all to be aware of as you're getting ready to apply. So what does an ideal candidate look like?
You're leaning on your radio. Chris, you've got your radio on.
So an ideal candidate demonstrates a strong interest and commitment to improving their community. They are civically engaged. They have voluntary leadership experience. They currently hold a position of leadership or have a high potential for achieving a leadership position. And they have a unique perspective. Also, an important thing to recognize, before you apply, make sure you talk to your supervisor/employer to get permission to participate in this program. Because as I said earlier, it's 12 full days off of work that is focused on your own personal and professional development. And so you just want to make sure you get the endorsement from your employer before you go ahead and sign up for that. Also, speaking of employers, you might, if you're interested and you're having a challenge explaining the benefits to your employers. Outside the benefits that I already explained for participants, employers get a huge benefit of sending their employees to this program as well, including it provides their key employees some professional development support. It develops their employees to well-rounded community leaders to better serve on committees and boards within their organization. It provides opportunities for their organization to have increased exposure and awareness in the market with other participants. And it showcases their organization's dedication to community engagement. Here are the days of the 2024-2025 cohort. Like I said before, we'll be starting in September and ending in May. You can see there's a few days we'll be meeting more than once, but on average, we meet about once a month on a Thursday towards the beginning of the month. I've already checked many different common holidays and things, so hopefully these times work for many of you. Another thing to point out is on October 3rd and 4th, those will be virtual. They're the only virtual component of the whole program. That's our racial consciousness workshop that we have a facilitator in Atlanta. And those will be half days in the morning from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., just so folks are aware of that. In terms of what this program costs, so if you are a Minneapolis Regional Chamber member, the cost is $3,195. For non-members, it's $3,495. Payment will be due before the start of the program on September 6th. And I get a lot of questions about scholarships. So we do have some limited partial scholarships available that are donations from our alumni. At this time, we are not able to offer full scholarships, but the max partial scholarship we are able to offer is $750. People interested in scholarships can note that on their application, and their scholarship request will be reviewed after the selection process. So your interest in scholarships will not affect your selection for the cohort. In terms of application timeline, applications are due on June 14th, so we still have plenty of time for folks to apply. It's important to note that there's a couple essay questions on here that require some thoughtful responses, so make sure you don't leave it to last minute to draft up those essays. Then from mid-June to July 5th, we'll start conducting some phone interviews of people that applied. And then during the month of July, our selection committee will get together to review those interview results and the applications. And by the end of July, applicants will be notified via email about their final selection status. In terms of LTC alumni, this program's been around since 1976, so we've been around a really long time. And because of that, we have over 2,300 alumni, which is pretty awesome. Some alumni you may have heard of before. Here are some alumni that we've had. Deshaun Drew, president of Minnesota Public Radio. Shonda Smith Baker, a well-known philanthropist in our community. Jackie Berglund, creator and co-founder of Finnegan's Brewery in downtown. Minnesota Representative Matt Norris, City of Plymouth Councilperson Clark Greger, and we have many more alumni. We also have one of our very engaged, very involved alumni that we've invited here today, Virginia. Would love, Virginia, if you can go ahead and take yourself off mute. I'll stop sharing my screen. And please introduce yourself to the group. And I'd love to hear about your own experience as an alumni of the program and everything that it has to offer.
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Virginia Brown. I work in the nonprofit sector at an organization called Agate Housing and Services. We work with folks experiencing homelessness and housing instability. Let's see, I went through the program in 2018-19, so I'm kind of way back there now. And then this year, I've actually been one of the co-chairs as an alum, going through the program again and supporting Zach and the new cohort members as they go through the program. In terms of my experience, I think, Zach, you did a great job of describing what it is. When I think about it, it's civic leadership. And so yeah, you can be taught how to be a good supervisor and leadership skills around like what you do in the workplace when you're on the leadership team, that sort of thing. This is more about understanding the Twin Cities community in a broad sense and being able to expand beyond your workplace and become a civic leader. And I really love that. So I am a pretty involved person. I've always been a volunteer. I work in the nonprofit sector. I've got an advanced degree. I went to college in Minnesota, and I still learned just a ton about the region that I would have had no opportunity to kind of get those kinds of insights. It was through Leadership Twin Cities that I actually went to like our capital for the very first time, like on a tour. And I ended up doing a lot more policy work later in my career. And I am thankful that Leadership Twin Cities like walked me in the door and got me past that first like nervousness of like, oh, I can't be in here. These people are important. It's a great way to network. I volunteer as an alum to increase that network opportunity. And as a co-chair, I was able to go through the program again. And since I went through the program pre-pandemic, I was actually the last cohort that got all the way through before the pandemic, and also pre-murder of George Floyd and the civil unrest. I was really curious to see how the program had shifted and some of the content. And again, I've been learning a lot this season, going through the program again, and continue to be really impressed with the quality of the speakers and the folks that get to stand in a room in front of us and that we have access to talk to. And then afterwards, you can just email and be like, hey, I was in that Leadership Twin Cities class. Tell me something or meet with me, have coffee. And it just gives you access to an amazing amount of people. So Zach, unless there's something else specific, I think that's my general Virginia's experience in Leadership Twin Cities.
Awesome. Thanks, Virginia. And yeah, at this time, I will open it up to questions, I think, between Virginia and I. Hopefully we can answer them. So if you have a question, feel free to come off mute and come on in.
Hey, good afternoon, Zach. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes. Okay. So my name is Tajala Miller. I had a question specifically about the personal passion project.
Yeah.
I've done previous leadership programs, actually completing one now, where it's more of a collective cohort project. So I'm really interested in that aspect. Could you tell me just about what does that look like in the presentation of it? Is it just more of your cohorts coach you on crafting it? Or is there an opportunity where it's actually presented, and then is there some kind of follow-up post-program as to, hey, this is where my passion project lands now?
Great question. That's actually something that we've been workshopping a lot over the past 2 years. So based on feedback that we've gotten, we wanted to give people the opportunity to work on their own personal passion project, because there were some challenges forcing large groups of people to work on one project together. So instead, what we did differently is we assigned people a group of peers between like 6 and 8 people that all have shared civic interests. So they have a lot of knowledge and resources to help you on whatever you want your personal passion project to be. And so at the very beginning of the program, you are just tasked with determining what you want your project to be. And it can be as small or large of a project that you want it to be. An example could be someone who's not very involved in their neighborhood that has a neighborhood association. It could be, I want to attend, 3 out of the 12 neighborhood association meetings that we have, and I'm going to hold myself accountable to that. Or it could be other things like organizing some type of more larger project where you like physically create something or do a cleanup or something. People in your peer groups, it's optional, but if you want to work together on a project, there's no rule saying that you can't do that. But we just want to give people the freedom to work on whatever personal project that they want to. And you get together with your peer groups every month to share any challenges that you're experiencing in executing on your goals for your project. And they are there to support you and potentially work together on that project. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate the clarity. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Come on in. Well, I'm assuming I just did such a great job giving an overview of the whole program that you have no questions. If you think of anything later on, feel free to email me. I'll go ahead. I have a final slide here with that you can all screenshot. But yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to email me at leadership@mplschamber.com. A lot of this information that I talked about is on our website. So feel free to check that out for those. But in the meantime, really looking forward to seeing your applications. Again, if you have any other questions, you can reach out to me
There is
directly.
a question in the chat about if the recording will be available.
Yeah, the recording will be sent directly to all of you who registered, and it will also be posted on our website shortly. So hopefully that answers that. All right. I have nothing else for folks, so I'll stick on for another minute or so, but with that, I bid you adieu and enjoy the rest of your lunch hour. Thanks, Virginia. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, Zach, this is Jeff Gluckstein. Sorry, I'm having a little audio difficulty, so I wanted to keep my microphone off. It seems like the number of participants in today's call are already aligned with a nonprofit, and I'm in private industry.
Yep.
I'm assuming that's okay. You want a mix of participants in the overall group?
Yeah, absolutely. We want this to be a well-rounded cross section of our community. Right now in our current cohort, it's about 50% people from the private business sector. And that's definitely like where the most of the chamber members come from. So we definitely want to encourage that and develop well-rounded business leaders in our community. But we will have a mix of nonprofit and government leaders as well. But hopefully that's not a deterrent, and we'll definitely probably have a majority of people in the room will be from the private business sector.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I was going to click my video on, but I'm having trouble with that too. But all right, you answered my question. I just wanted to, you implied that it was going to be a kind of a little bit of a Noah's Ark group. So
Yep.
I totally appreciate that. So thank you.
Absolutely.